Hello and welcome. I'm your host, William Lou. You are listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast presented by Betway for all your sports betting activities. Hit the QR code that you see on the screen or follow the link you see in the description of the episode. This was a quick one. This one was really, really quick. It felt like the referees want to get out of there. It felt like the Raptors want to get out of there. But Raptors lose tonight 137 to 118. So much for the Raptors being one of the best defensive teams since January. Tonight, the Chicago Bulls tore through Toronto like they look like the 72-win Bulls, basically. Yeah, I mean, it was eye-opening. Bit of a reality check. Obviously, the Raptors have been facing a lot of poor opponents. I wouldn't necessarily say Chicago is that good of an opponent, but they have been playing pretty well of late. Obviously, they had that huge win over the Lakers, stunning them in that fashion, stealing it at the end. But the Bulls had actually been on a pretty good tear. And so I wanted to see how the Raptors would respond in a game like this, how they would handle a Bulls offense that, since moving Zach LaVine, has really, really kicked it into overdrive. I mean, they're already shooting a bunch of threes and really spacing it out and playing fast. But my goodness, they put the Raptors defense into a blender from start to finish. And I really wanted to see how the Raptors would, face up to that challenge. And yeah, I mean, Chicago just beat the Raptors in every way possible. I felt like, I can't even tell you who wasn't hurting the Raptors. I mean, Kevin Huerter was beating the Raptors. Josh Giddey was beating the Raptors. Kobe White was doing everything he wanted to the Raptors. Nikola Vucevic continues to just, he looked like damn near Nikola Jokic playing against the Toronto Raptors tonight. In 25 minutes, having a 22.10 rebound, 7 assist night, making no mistakes at all in how he tore apart the Raptors. I mean, even Talen Horton-Tucker coming off the bench for Chicago, who they got on a minimum contract, like even he was hurting the Raptors. So defensively, the Raptors were just it wasn't even a contest. Like, Chicago get into the paint whenever they wanted. Raptors on-ball defense was really poor. And then they were able to spray it out for threes. They were able to play fast in transition. The Raptors weren't able to be set. Even when the Raptors tried to contest at the rim, they weren't really able to. They couldn't really handle the ability of Nikola Vucevic to both pick and pop and also roll to the basket. So it was pretty much all bad. And the only reason it wasn't a blowout from the start was because Toronto actually caught fire from three tonight. Ended up shooting tonight 20 of 45 from three, but the Raptors, I think, made 8 threes all in the first quarter alone. They made their first 5, forcing Chicago to call early timeout because at the start of the game, it actually looked like the Raptors were going to do well tonight. Jamison Battle hit a 3 within, I swear, 5 seconds of the game starting. It was like one pass after winning the jump ball to Jamison Battle, and he knocked down a 3 immediately. That was kind of cool to see. But they wanted a good stretch there where IQ hit a pull-up 3, Jacoby hit a buzzer-beating 3 after some nice ball movement, Jacoby hit another 3, and then Scotty also knocked down a corner 3 after a nice closeout, a pump fake on a closeout by Josh Giddey, faked him out, and then knocked down the 3. So Raps started 5 of 5 from 3, and they were hot in the first quarter, but they had given up the lead basically immediately. Like, the Chicago Bulls, within taking the first time out, they responded to that and they took the lead. And from that point onward, I mean, it was not close. Like, Chicago got everything they wanted. Meanwhile, Toronto, I thought, a couple things were going well. I feel like IQ actually had a pretty decent game tonight. 17 points, 9 assists. Obviously, he's going to rest an alternate game. So tonight it was him and Jakob Poeltl's chance to play. I thought IQ actually played quite well. I thought the offense ran pretty well through IQ. He was aggressive with the threes. Second quarter there, when Toronto felt like they couldn't score at all, it was mostly IQ who ran the offense and got the Raptors into something. Mostly it was IQ scoring, but still, I thought IQ did well offensively. Jacoby did well offensively, 17 points. Shot a perfect 5 of 5 from 3, which was really nice to see from Jacoby. Also had 4 rebounds, 4 assists. In the moments where the Raptors did play defense, I thought Jacoby actually probably was the only one who came close to playing good defense. But pretty much everyone else struggled. There was a bit of Orlando Robinson knocking down some threes. I mean, the Bulls weren't guarding him. So he capitalized. He actually took 7 threes tonight, Orlando Robinson. So good on you, honestly. Like, if he wins a spot with the Raptors going forward, I mean, we can look back at this stretch of being like, well, the Raptors certainly gave Orlando Robinson lots of chances to win that spot. But again, like I said in the previous episode, if he can knock down the three, all of a sudden it makes him a little bit more dynamic. Obviously, that goes without saying. It's a pretty important additional skill, especially at the center position. But especially for a guy like Orlando who's not that athletic, there's not that like vertical pop. There's not like that, he's not an explosive big. He's mostly ground bound. Those kind of unathletic bigs, I feel like mostly need to have something else to counter, and I feel like the three, especially now that he's working on it, I feel like, that could be that potential path, because all of a sudden, whatever, he's probably going to be a third string center no matter what, but still, like, that is something to at least bank on because it's unique. And then AJ Lawson, alternates between like super hot and super cold. Tonight he was super hot, 13 points in 13 minutes off the bench. Salute to Brampton's finest, had a couple of dunks as well. So, like, it's not like the Raptors didn't have any positives, but also at the same time, like, let's not get it twisted. Like, the Chicago Bulls, like, dismantled the Raptors, and I think it really exposed a lot of things. Number one, defensively, the Raptors have been playing really well, but I think the question in everyone's mind is, like, how much of that is because the Raptors started the season 8-31? How much of that is because teams aren't taking the Raptors seriously? How much of that is, most importantly, the Raptors have been on this incredible run here where they've only ever played below 500 opponents? Is that the main reason why the Raptors defense has been good? Now, I would argue that the Raptors have played good defense. Obviously, they played weaker opponents, and I can't necessarily control if teams play hard against the Raptors or not, whatever. But ultimately, there is a factor where it's like, how do you look against some of the better offenses in the league? And I know Chicago is not known for like their elite offense or anything this season, but the way that they play with so many ball handlers, there's so many guys who could touch the paint, who can drive their defender, who can draw some help, and then the quickness that they move the ball. I mean, it is like they change from left to right, right to left. They change ends of the court really fast, whether that's in transition or even in the half court going side to side. And it requires not only a really, really good and attentive set of on-ball defenders to contain their drives without needing so much help. They also need, obviously, that tricky element of Vucevic, who can both roll and pop to the basket. So it's like, you need somebody who can like stay, in track and in line with him. And then on top of that, you need some toughness to actually contest some shots at the rim, because ultimately, if you're going to help at the rim, there's obviously a big chance of Chicago spraying it out for threes, which they did a lot tonight, 14 of 34. It's actually honestly a below average game for them. I mean, there have been games this season where Chicago got like 53s against the Raptors. But the reason it was below average is because Chicago got whatever they wanted going to the basket. And that's where, for me, it's like Raptors should have done a much better job protecting the basket, and they just didn't, and it was kind of sad seeing, like, at one point, Scotty, as the leader of the team, tried to take a personal and was like trying to go at Kobe White defensively and like bumping him and taking on the assignment and being extra physical, and the referees weren't calling anything all night because they kind of just wanted to get out of there. And the two times that happened in the third quarter, both times Kobe White got by Scotty, touched the paint. One time he dropped it off for a layup, and another time he just scored at the rim. It was like their best guy versus Toronto's best guy, and like they easily blew past him. You know what I mean? So it was not a proud day for the Raptors on the defensive end. Now, of course, you could say like, well, Will, come on, they're tanking. They just got officially mathematically eliminated from the play-in. Toronto obviously was chasing a team like Chicago or a team like Miami. I mean, realistically, the Raptors never wanted to play in. But like, you might say, well, like, what's the big deal? They're if the goal is to lose, then why is it a big deal if they lose? I still feel like if they're gonna waste their time and win some of these games, which they have won a lot recently, and if the reward for winning those games is that you're building continuity, you're building on good habits, then when you come up against a real test of what your defense looks like, those habits should show. I mean, with all due respect to like the tanking opponents that they've been playing recently, but like it doesn't say that much to me if they're like, oh, I locked down the Philadelphia 76ers, who, like I mentioned previously, I think 6 of their 9 players in the rotation in the last game was signed from the trade deadline onward. So it's a group of strangers. It doesn't say that much to me if you lock down the Charlotte Hornets with no LaMelo Ball, right? You got to key in on, Miles Bridges. Like, that's not that hard. You know what I mean? It doesn't say that much if you lock down on Brooklyn Nets. Who on the Brooklyn Nets is scoring, period, right? Like, that's, and to be fair, though, like, they've done it, and they've done a great job of coordinating, and they've taken pride on that front. But you come up against a Chicago Bulls team that just played last night. The Raptors didn't play last night. The Raptors actually had more rest advantage coming into this game. The Raptors are the hotter team coming into this game. and then they just get like it. They look like two different leagues. You know what I mean? So it's like you. I just don't want to waste time with the Mickey Mouse wins if we're not even able to beat. And again, all due respect to Chicago, I'm giving them a lot of respect this episode, but a team like Chicago who they're trying to catch moving forward. Like next season, the Raptors will be trying to contend with Chicago. How are they going to beat this team? I mean, they literally went 0-4 against Chicago this year, and it wasn't fluky outside of that Kobe White, buzzer beater, which was mostly a mistake by IQ to foul him, the 4-point play. But, you know, next year, you're going to be trying to aim to beat this team. And Chicago looks like they're building real momentum. They're building an identity. They're playing this like super fast, spaced out, all guards type of offense. I mean, realistically, they shouldn't be that good defensively, but they should hurt you offensively. How are you going to respond to that? And I don't necessarily expect that response to be on right now, but to lose in this fashion, it is disheartening because it does undo the work and the progress that the Raptors have shown defensively up until this point. I think the other part too is just like, as I put it here in the headline, like, how concerned are you about Scottie Barnes? Because this is not, for me, like a situation where, I'm nitpicking on specific games, because we've actually talked about this subject about 2 weeks ago, and I've given my thoughts on, I think we should just recalibrate a little bit your expectations on Scotty. Like, I don't think the expectation should be that he's the 1A scoring option, maybe not even a 1B scoring option. But I've really liked his focus. I've liked the way he's led the team. I've liked the way he's played defense. I've liked the way he's competed. I like the way that, other guys have taken to him and stuff like that. Like all those things are good. And if you really squint hard enough, there are some marginal improvements. Like the mid-range jumper for a while was decent this year. That's really fallen off here. But like, I've tried to give it more nuance, but also at the same time tonight, it's a good time to ask it, because if you ask me, like, what's been the worst game of Scotty's season, I would say this one. This one was really, really tough from Scotty's perspective. It actually started fine. Like I mentioned, he knocked down the three, which is always a good sign. He's been certainly struggling with the three. He knocked down a mid-range jumper, but I just didn't think that there was something on Chicago's side that should really slow down Scottie Barnes, right? Like, we're talking about a player who the Raptors have devoted the franchise to. The Raptors have put almost unfairly, but at the same time also quite generously, the entire franchise label on, right? Darko's most infamous moment with last year crashing out against the Lakers. He even mentioned he had the presence of mind to slide in there. Scottie Barnes can be the face of this league, and he said it multiple times. He really reiterates that this year as well, and it's like, okay, that's fine. And it's not just because you're a face of the league doesn't mean you can't have a bad game. But I'm looking at the Chicago Bulls roster. Number one, the Bulls aren't that good defensively. Number two, who on that team should really be stopping Scotty, right? And it wasn't like the Bulls were selling out and trapping him and playing him double coverage. It's single coverage all night. And when you look at the offensive approach to the game, it just didn't quite look in that fashion. Like, it didn't look like Scotty had the ability to put pressure on Chicago's defense the way that, like, Josh Giddey was able to put pressure on the Toronto offense or defense. Kobe White was able to put pressure on the Raptors defense. Nikola Vucevic was able to put pressure on the Raptors defensively and make them, force them into, like, difficult decisions in terms of when to switch, when to go. They were super decisive as well with it. Tonight, Scotty looked like he really didn't have a good plan of how to attack Chicago. And I think for me, what was concerning was there's a couple opportunities of late, really, where, and I know he's been working on his left hand a lot. If you really go back and look at, like, shot by shot what he's been doing, he's been using the left hand a lot. Obviously, he's right-handed, so maybe he's just, like, practicing. There's always the element, there's always an out. Like, he's just practicing. They're just tanking, so these games shouldn't count or whatever. But, like, at the same time, like, there isn't that, like, decisiveness. There isn't that plan. There isn't that sharpness where what he's going to do. His teammates know what he's going to do. He's going to do it unless the other defense stops them. And that's going to be, like, the spearhead of the team. Like, that never really feels that way. Now, it's not to say that Scotty hasn't had good games. Like, Scotty has had, like, when you think back to that Golden State Warriors game, I know they lost towards the end there, but, like, he had a really nice night. That one, 29 points. Was certainly getting guarded by pretty good defenders and, like, Draymond or Jimmy Butler, and obviously the Bulls are not nearly as good defensively as the Warriors, but, like, there's also a lot of these single digit nights, man. Like, and it's like, I think the context here is you understand that Scotty can do whatever he wants, right? Like if Scotty wanted to put up 25 shots, nobody in the organization will say a word. If anything, Darko probably would in the postgame be like, "That's exactly what I want to see. I want to see you work on your shots. I want to see you be aggressive, and I don't mind any of those shots. I'm more than happy with him taking a lot of shots. Like he would have the blessing of everybody in the organization to go out and do that. But like, there has just been a lot of games this year where the scoring punch, the scoring impetus just isn't there. And honestly, if you break down some of those possessions, it's like, a couple of common themes come up, like he'll lose his handle on some of these. There's one play tonight where he was just trying to drive against a rookie, Matas Bazelis, and whatever. Matas is, he's tall, like he's 6'8", he's got long arms, kind of similar profile to Scotty, but obviously a lot skinnier. So he's driving the rookie one-on-one, and initially he has a chance to cross over and get an edge and sort of drive that towards his right, but he loses the handle on the simple crossover. Then he has to reset. Then he gets low, tries to explode up at the rim, and he gets blocked at the rim. It's like, it's number one, just like too loose of a handle, but also number two, like just too simplistic of a move. I feel like I mentioned this a few times before, but when you see RJ going to the basket a lot, and the only reason I'm comparing him to RJ is because they're on the same team, and a lot of the times it's either Scotty's leading the offense or RJ's leading the offense. But like when you see RJ going to the basket, like there is like a nuance to it. Like there is a counter. Sometimes he goes up for the jump hook. Sometimes he goes up for the floater. But a lot of the times he's going to, use a crossover. He's going to use a bump. He's going to finish reverse. Like there's just a variety. Like I think if you're the defender, if you're the backpedaling defender trying to stop RJ from going to the basket, you have to consider that there's a chance RJ does like 3 or 4 different moves. Obviously, he primarily wants to get to his left, but he goes there in a variety of ways. And he plays through the contact, and he goes to the foul line a lot. I think for Scotty, like tonight, first off, 0 free throw attempts as well, despite trying to go to the basket. But there isn't that sort of like he doesn't really make a move. He kind of just like drives and uses his size to plow through the defense. Now, of course, like it's a damn good plan to plow through the defense when he's 6'9" and 250, right? Like Scotty's built like a Greek god, so like a lot of times he can just plow through the defense. But at the same time, like that's not entirely sustainable. I feel like they're leaving sort of stuff on the table. Like when you watch back on the 4-14 performance tonight for 9 points, you'll see a lot of chances where he just left on the table. And that's to say nothing about the jumpers and stuff like that. Like tonight, the mid-range jumper, he had a play where he was one-on-one against Patrick Williams, another one who 6'9", also went to Florida State. Also a big, forward, whatever. So he's guarding Scotty, and Scotty's like trying to get to his turnaround jumper from the mid-range, and he's creating one-on-one in this sort of scenario. And it reminded me a lot actually of when the Raptors played the Bulls last time. Remember that was, Kobe White hit the 4-point play, but the Raptors still actually had a chance to win the game after blowing it with the 4-point play. And they went to Scotty on the baseline. It was the exact same move, and he tried a turnaround jumper on the baseline. This time, the Bulls snuffed it out entirely, where they did not even allow him to go to that spot. So he tried to spin back towards the middle because they're overplaying the baseline. And he ultimately couldn't really get a good look off. The balance wasn't there. The touch wasn't really there. The three-point shot, I mean, look, it's the three-point shot is what it is. You know what I mean? Like it's certainly not been there this season. We've heard reassurances from a guy like Darko who has said that, like, he believes Scotty will be, a 37, 38% catch and shoot three-point shooter going forward. And, he's obviously he's not shooting well this year, but he believes in a long term. I'm going to have to take him at his word for it. But also at the same time, like, this is now going to be he shot 30.1% as a rookie, 28.1% from three as a sophomore, 34% last year, even though he started the season hot, but he cooled off after the first few months. And now he's at 26.6%. That's going to drop a little bit more tonight because he went 1 for 5. Like, that has to come through, because I think for me, it's like, you know what? This year was about letting him be the franchise leader, establishing pieces around that. And even though down the stretch here, the Raptors have pivoted towards tanking, they still want to at least use these reps while they have them to see how he integrates, how IQ plays off him, how Yaka plays off of him, how RJ plays off of him. He's the one constant that plays every game, aside from the rookies, even though everyone else gets a chance to rest. I mean, even goddamn Ochai Abaji's on this, fake resting plan, stuff like that, right? So, but it's like, how do all these guys orbit around him? But you make an orbit around something if they're the sun. And I think that Scotty just hasn't shine that brightly this year offensively. If anything, we're starting to think about, okay, how does he look like as like a somebody who sets up the offense, but ultimately when it's time to take the shot, it's like Ingram takes a shot, or IQ is the scorer, and then RJ is the scorer. It's like, can he be the sort of the table setter for everybody? And it's like, when we take a step back, it's like, I also feel like, especially with the amount of talent that he has, that does feel like less than what was not promised, but also at the same time, it's like you don't feel like you're getting the best version of Scotty. This cannot be the best version of Scotty this year, because I feel like offensively there has to be another level. Otherwise, I don't think this necessarily even works to that degree. I think, especially because if you're going to move him off the ball next year, or not off the ball, but you're going to make somebody else, quote unquote, the number one, whether that's Ingram or, there's number one by committee, let's say, with like Ingram could score and lead your team in scoring every night, or IQ could be that one night, or RG could be that one night, or whatever. Then that's fine. But then the secondary skills has to come in. Like, that means that Scotty has to be a great finisher. Like, especially if you're not creating the offense and you're finishing, you got to be really elite at finishing, right? Like, one of the reasons you don't mind Jakob as much is because if you get the ball to Jakob, he's going to score. That touch shot is consistent. It's always there. He knows where to position himself. He knows where the game is. You don't mind IQ playing off the ball because he's a really good catch and shoot 3-point shooter, and he's working to improve that, and he's done that. You don't mind RJ not having the ball as much because when he cuts and he curls and he's in transition, or even when he gets chances to play pick and roll, he's pretty efficient, especially when he goes downhill. And then Ingram's kind of your classic 3-level scorer. But then, like, what's the one bankable thing that Scotty's going to be doing for you offensively that, like, guaranteed he's going to do it 100% right each and every single time, or he's going to be super efficient at it? It's not the catch and shoot threes. This season, it's not even been the finishing. It's probably the playmaking. But again, if you take the ball more out of his hands, it's like, how efficient are you of a playmaker if you're not the one always touching the ball, right? So that's where, for me, it's like it starts to get concerning. And now, again, like, you can always pull back and say, this is just tanking. This is towards the end of the season. I mean, I've even pointed it out, but it's like, he's gone a lot to the left hand. Is he just practicing? Is he using this time to practice? And therefore, you can't necessarily judge the results. You can say whatever you want, but I don't think any, like, Raptor fan can watch what's happening offensively with Scotty this year and not be at least a little bit concerned, right? Because I think you would like to see some, like, some bigger games. Again, like, the opponents of late have not been strong, right? Like, they have not been strong. If you look back at their last 16 games, the Raptors have played one team above 500, which is kind of absurd when you really think about it. But they played one team above 500, and like, it's not like, I think he's shooting like 42% over that stretch. It's not like a dominant stretch of games here. Now, granted, I don't even want him to see him go out there and, like, take every shot, and that's just not who he is as a person, as a player, or whatever. But at certain points, though, when you're the leader, like, I would like to see some takeover moments. Maybe not even moments, but takeover games. Just once in a while, right? Even if you look at the game logs, I know this is such a simplistic way of evaluating, but he's got 4 games this season with 30 plus points, right? 35 against Indiana, 33 against Brooklyn, 33 against Philadelphia, 31 against Detroit. They're 3-1 in those games. They lost the one to Detroit. This is now the 4th game that Scotty's been in single digits as well, right? And, like, I just would like to see a little bit more. And I feel like if this season was about getting data and drawing conclusions and trying to adapt based on what he needs to do for the team next year going forward, obviously the Raptors have made a huge commitment to Scotty, and they're right to do so. But if you're going to take this as data and like actually try to evaluate and reflect from here, then your takeaway has to be, if you're, like, objective, is like, there's a lot to work on. There just is a lot to work on. I think the thing I've talked about earlier this season was, I think it should really start with, like, what's the one thing that you do really well? What's the one go-to scoring move you can get to really well? Get that thing hammered in, get that thing really pounded down, and then at that point you can build off of that point, right? Obviously the catch and shoot threes, that's a non-negotiable for pretty much anybody who's not a center. So that has to come back, or that has to not even come back. That just has to come, right? And then at that point, it's like the in-between stuff. Is there enough handle? Can you get it tighter? Can you practice certain moves? Like, there's obviously, like, a million things you can dig into. But right now it's it's a concern. And again, like you know that these kind of games are not like just one-offs, right? Like tonight was not just a one-off. And I think even I saw like the thing I've been really commendable with Scotty is just like I've liked his focus and effort, because I think for me previous seasons I've seen moments where he's like he gets frustrated, he gets emotional, he gets disengaged. You didn't see that as much this season, if anything. Maybe at the start of the season there were some games, and obviously he was like broke his face and hurt his ankle. Like there's a couple of things that were frustrating, right? But then I think especially in the second half of the season, like there has not been one game where I watched the game and I'm like, Scotty looks frustrated, he looks disengaged, and some of the bad habits starting to creep back in. I mean, tonight you saw a play where and Scotty has a couple of these tendencies where he will like look at a guy, because he'll be in rotation, he'll look at a guy and he'll be like, I'm not going to close out to him. I'm just going to turn my back to him and disrespect him. And tonight it was Taylor Horton Tucker, who is not a good three-point shooter. But at the same time, he just turned his back to him and he's like, I'm not even going to bother closing out to you. And then THT knocked down the three. It's like small moments like that, the look backs in transition, like that stuff has been really, really curbed down this season. And I've really liked the enthusiasm in which he's played. There's a determination to his game. But tonight I thought like he slipped back into some bad habits. So again, like this is a little bit unfair only because, I am obviously choosing a night where he struggled to talk about how he struggled on the season. But also at the same time, like I would have loved to hear your thoughts too, in terms of like, are you at least a little bit frustrated, or are you at least a little underwhelmed, or a little concerned, or what is it? You know what I mean? Or maybe you give a good reason as to why he struggled so much offensively this year. So that's usually a little bit longer than I go on these recaps, but that's the basketball portion of the React Pod is sometimes it's got to come through. So we're gonna bring in producer Jerome Cheng.
What's up?
What's going on, man? How you feeling? What's the chat saying?
The chat has as many, if not more, thoughts about Scottie Barnes as you do.
Okay.
There's not a lot that I ended up starring. I think a lot of it is the same thing. A lot of the concerns about his scoring, a lot of the concerns that you voiced there, the kind of thing that it's been going on over the course of the season, and watching a game like this definitely makes it like exacerbated. It's just it feels worse when you see a performance like this. But a lot of the same. A lot of we'll see what happens next season when he has Brandon Ingram around him and has a different team, and when they're actually a team that is playing for something and putting out a better roster in totality. I think every time I kind of see some of the more recent performances and knowing the lineups that we have put out, I think about when we talked to Masai over at All-Star and how I believe he made the comment around the lines of like Scotty really elevates his game and plays a lot better with like better players, better talent around him.
Okay.
So, I mean, to that end, at the very least, we do see flashes. We obviously want to see more of it. So I'm just, curious about what happened, but we've been talking about it already for about 30 minutes, so I don't think we need to lament any further.
Fair enough.
But, as we mentioned earlier this week and in the chat now, Alex is off for the week.
That's right. Alex, I hope you are enjoying. Where do you think Alex would stay in Montreal?
Ooh, he did tell me. I already forgot, but I think he would just kind of run through the classics. I mean, Alex kind of knows his way around. He hits his spots. He hits his people. Oh no, we have a different.
Whoa, Jerome's
it's Jerome's
six pack.
Alex. We missed you, Alex. But no, we thought we'd try to keep this 6-pack going.
Okay.
And I did bring 6 items for you today. We're going to start off with one that we haven't got a chance to talk about it yet.
Okay.
Zach Lowe is back.
Zach Lowe. Mr. Zachary Lowe. Welcome back, Zach Lowe.
Welcome back, Zach Lowe. He is returning under the ringer. I think nobody's that surprised about that.
Yeah.
He's going to have the Zach Lowe show. It's going to happen Monday and Tuesday, or Monday and Thursday, twice a week. Have you had a chance to listen to his episode with Bill, his return on there?
Yeah, I'm not Alex. I don't listen to every Bill Simmons podcast when it drops. I will get around to it. I actually had a pretty busy day today. I've been spending most of the day watching tape on who the Raptors could potentially take.
That's right.
Because tomorrow we'll be going live and looking at 5 prospects, but probably more like 8 prospects who would potentially fit the Raptors and who would be in the Raptors' range, let's say, in terms of where they would be picking. So I spent most of the day doing that, but I will for sure check out Zach Lowe. By the way, you notice how it's not called a Low Post anymore.
No.
It's called the Zach Lowe Show, which
I know.
I feel like ESPN owned the IP for the Low Post name.
Totally fair.
So,
totally fair.
yeah.
Well, I did get to listening to a little bit so far. It's a lot of catch up, but you forget how long Zach was gone. He's missed the entire season, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So he was just talking about all the different ways that he would have loved to be on there. It sounded like he was basically working, grinding nonstop anyway, watching maybe more games than he usually would because he's not working. It really got me to thinking, you and Alex left Sportsnet and you came back pretty quickly with Hello and Welcome.
We did, yes.
If there was time in between, which is like entirely possible in some cases, maybe there is a thing where you are asked to stay off air for a couple of months. Or even if we didn't have the Nation Network, which shout out the Nation Network and getting on with them early.
Hey.
If we didn't do that, would you be watching every Raptors game this season? And would you be even just doing your own solo React pods? I feel banters would happen. I feel Stephen LeBron Radio would really be thriving.
We did do a lot of Stephen LeBron Radio.
Right. Also, I believe this is a Wong over here, if I'm able to pull this up. But we just got ourselves a little text from Alex Wong.
Oh, wow.
He is listening to the Six Pack right now from the pool room.
Oh, Montreal pool room? Yo, Alex, man, hop in the chat, man. Come on, man.
I feel like he timed it to just go to pool room during the time as we were doing this. I feel like this is almost planned that way. But shout out, Alex.
Purple Crush?
Yeah.
My man is adventurous, man.
Are you not a Purple Crush guy?
No. I don't like Crush at all, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I would do the Caught Black Cherry when I'm in Montreal. I feel like that's a classic. But anyway,
I gotta try that next.
To
what's the question? Is the question what I would have done if I had to take a break from the Raptors?
If you just didn't have an official platform, would you still be doing all the amount of watching that you would be doing, especially taking the context, knowing how this season is? Like, would you be watching Chicago Bulls tonight?
Oh, yeah. No, for sure.
Absolutely.
Shouts to Tala Umar. He said that meal looks like poverty. But that's one of the best meals you could get in Montreal.
Oh, it is a classic.
Especially right now at 11 p.m. That's one of the best places, man. Yeah, no, I'm genuinely a sicko. Like, I would be watching the hell out of all these games. I think people may not know, but, like, at the start of my career, like, it wasn't even a career at that point. It was just a hobby. What I would do is I would just like write my game notes in and then put it on a Google like a Google Doc, and then I would screen cap that Google Doc so it'd be like 400 words in bullet form, numbered 1 through 10. I would just screen cap that and I would just post it after every game. Like if you search my tweets, you'll probably find like 510 things I saw from the Raptors versus whatever. So I'd be doing that.
People forget, up until this season, you were doing a full write-up and a React pod.
Yeah, I mean, the write-up started going south. They started going from, like, 10 things after every game to, like, 5 things after some games to, like, 0 things after certain games. I realized I was like, nobody really want to hear my 0.7 about Javon from Liberty, but yeah, like, that was what I did. And even the React pod was just, like, I would quote unquote be taking a lunch break or I guess a dinner break when I would work shifts, and then I would just sneak into a boardroom and just like record 15 minutes of thoughts on the game on my phone, and I would just like secretly upload that while I was still at work. So I honestly, like, even without a job, I'd be doing this, which is probably not a good sign to any of my potential employers, both past and present. But like, yeah, I mean, I think there's like a lot of your identity that gets wrapped up in work, and I think it's like hard to admit that.
And in
sometimes.
Zach Lowe's case, he knew he was coming back to something, so he couldn't really just fall out of the loop.
For sure, he can't like fall off. You know what I mean? Because it's like everything's really precarious. Like you leave the game for like even a couple months, people will forget you. That's
the thing. Like even if you did not have this, if somehow you were still granted your credential, like you would be at every Raptors game and you would be at the whole game.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, next item here. Now, you and I, probably more so, this actually fits great for us. We really obsess with the idea of coming across a video of any particular player from the past or any particular type of move and just talk incessantly about it. And this is a tweet I came across on the timeline. I'm going to pull it up here. I actually screen capped the video. Let me see if I get this going. Here we go. I hope the kids today still learn about D. Will's crossover. For those who are listening, there is a slow motion of Darren Williams crossing over Jason Terry in a classic crossover, sending him to the ground. It is a vicious one. I actually also have prepared for you. I think I have another Darren Williams crossover. This is a classic here. It's a double crossover
against
Derek Fisher and the hard finish and one.
Man.
So tell people about Darren Williams's crossover.
Oh man, guys, everyone knows that at one point there was a conversation between who is the best point guard in the league. Was it Darren Williams or Chris Paul?
Yes.
Obviously, they went 3-4 in the draft in the same year. Somehow the Atlanta Hawks took neither of them, even though they needed a point guard so bad. They were like, Marvin Williams was our guy. But yeah, man, I mean, like Darren Williams was. There was a time where I had Darren Williams guard picked. Too.
Yeah,
he was. I mean, okay, look, Chris Paul had, especially before he hurt his knee, like he had the hops to like literally dunk over.
He had an explosiveness. Yes.
And Chris Paul's always been great, so you don't even need to really explain Chris Paul. But like, I think Darren Williams, even though his prime was basically just Utah, and then by the time he went to like Brooklyn and stuff like that, he kind of fell off. Mm-hmm. And it's the rest of his career, whether it was in Cleveland or Dallas, it just didn't really pop like that. Didn't have the longevity. But like Utah Jazz, Darren Williams was a real problem, man. I think they made the playoffs within like the first 2 or 3 years of him as their point guard. They made a couple of like Eastern Conference Finals runs too, and that's during a year where like, man, the West playoff teams were tough. You got to go through like San Antonio, with like, you know, who have won multiple rings, obviously the big three, Spurs, you know, Kobe and them were still pretty good. Even after Shaq, you know, I mean, still was prime Kobe. And then you got Steve Nash out there as well. You know, the Grizzlies started coming up.
Allowed the Jazz to move on from Stockton.
Dude, that's the craziest part. He was awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And he had the size too. I feel like he bullied players.
He was such a strong guard and really has, I would say, one of the best crossovers ever. It's such an efficient one.
Yeah.
Every time you see it, just like he cooks players, but it's also one that like really gets him into like the right positions to score. And so, by the way, just reliving a moment.
By the way, I've been as my breaks for today from work, I was like, I'm gonna watch some videos because I've been pretty obsessively. I mean, you know this, but I've been pretty obsessive about trying to improve in basketball and just learn how to play basketball recently.
And you have been.
Thank you. And I have been watching because like my first thing was like, okay, as a player with no skills, I'm gonna make sure I learn how to shoot first, and I can build my game from there. And now I'm like, okay, now I really want to learn how to dribble. And I realized I was never even taught like the very basics of dribbling. like I watched like a video of like I just literally typed into YouTube how to dribble, and one of the videos was like, you should like flick your wrist on the way down and like accelerate the ball downward, and you should like bend down a little bit lower so that the ball doesn't leave your hand for as long of a time. And I'm like, oh, like that's so simple, but like, why did I not intuitively know this?
When you are explaining basic basketball things, it's embarrassing how
it's super
obvious
embarrassing.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, very much so. Like, that's how you learned how to shoot. Like, you just put together the most, like, basic but fundamental skills, and then you find yourself reminding yourself, and that's how you get your shot back.
Yeah. So I've been... Yeah, I was itching actually all day to find some time to go outside and just like practice the most basic dribbling possible.
We're gonna do a lot of that, McCormick.
Yeah.
All right.
So
on to number 3.
Shouts to Darren Williams.
Shouts to Darren Williams.
Also, I love fat point guards. I don't know what to say. Like him, Darren Williams are like not Darren Williams and Baron Davis are in a class of their own for me.
I guess like he did get there. He just didn't look fit. But like early young, like Utah Jazz, Darren Williams was like pretty lean.
I don't know, man. It felt like he was always like a 200+ pound point guard. Like he was like a Kyle,
but he was also just like a tall guard.
He was a tall guard too.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Shouts to Kyle, of course. Obviously, the GOAT, chubby point guard.
Okay, up next. This has actually been floating around for a while, but just last night I think it was, or LeBron James made it aware that he knows about all the remixes. Oh, here you go.
Will loves Raymond Felton. I don't know about that. Although Raymond Felton cooked the Raptors once or twice. Anyway, sorry, you're saying?
Yes, but LeBron James made it known that he is aware of all the remixes that have been made recently
Oh yeah.
of different songs featuring him. And we're going to start off originally. Like, I don't think we actually had a chance to talk about this on the show at any point. So the one that is like the main song, which I don't believe is a remix of anything, is just an original song. We're going to load up here. LeBron James. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can we do this next time at karaoke? That'd be fun.
We could. I think we could load it up. I mean, if we just go to karaoke with a YouTube, we could definitely sing along with this. Now, I know that there was a full version of that song released on SoundCloud. I believe the artist is named OK Spade, but we had shared a whole bunch of these, and I just wanted to ask, now that we have a chance to, did you have a favorite remix?
The LeBron Luther remix was pretty good.
That was a really good one.
Yeah,
my personal favorite is the Man on the Lakers to the tune of Man in the Mirror. That was very good.
I'm talking about the Man on the Lakers.
I realized there are actually so many of them. There are probably more than I can find in the list here, but I was trying to pull out the original song and the alternate title. So there was Bruno Mars, Talking to the Moon, or Thinking About LeBron. Thinking About LeBron.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There's an Evanescence, Bring Me to Life.
No.
To the tune of Bring Me Back to Bron. I do have it. Do you want me to load it for you?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Let's hear this one. All right.
Yeah. By the way, shouts to the last video. Hold on. Fire. This is probably the best one, man.
Wow.
Yo, this is one of the best.
This is
one of the
really
best
good.
songs I've ever heard. Not even just LeBron remix. Yo, that's so good. By the way, is that one of your karaoke classics? I feel like I've heard you sing this.
I've never chosen it, but someone will always choose it, and I will always just then volunteer to do all the fill-ins and the ad-libs.
Yeah.
There's FU, CeeLo's FU, to call it like That's Braun.
Yeah, that's canceled, man.
There's the Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars, Die With a Smile, but called Dunk With a Smile.
Okay.
That one's pretty good.
Pretty
this one's just an insane title, but there's one for I Write Sins, Not Tragedies, but it's called I Write Bronze, Not Bronnages.
Okay, that's too far. That's too far.
That's insane. And then there's also one, Somebody That I Used to Know, but That's Why He's the GOAT.
Wow.
That's... But shout out to the creativity of everyone putting all these together.
So my question is, how powerful is artificial intelligence now? Because I wonder.
So a lot of these songs, I believe, actually were made on a song editing software where they were just able to generate a lot of like the vocals,
right?
Or they would be able to sing it and then very much in the way of like auto-tune, change it into a different type of voice.
Right, because like auto-tune already existed, but like that was just to correct, I guess, the pitch of what you're singing at to like the note that you intend to. This kind of auto-tune where you're audibly putting on a mask and becoming a famous artist is kind of scary, because it's like there's probably like enough discography of like, let's say the Beatles, for example, where you can like recreate or even create new Beatles songs that probably sound exactly the way Beatles would play it.
A lot of early AI was just like there was when there were some of the Drake disses that came out, they had to confirm it was an AI because they weren't sure one way or another.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I'm especially scared about this is, like, as somebody who has put up, I'm not even kidding, like probably like 5,000 podcast episodes.
They can
I feel
definitely
like-
create a React pod with your voice.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like you could probably
Yeah.
just AI a React pod on me, like based on like the box score. They're like, today the
You've said every combination
gonna say
of number.
Will's
Yeah.
gonna call out Scotty or whatever. It's like
Right.
it's kind of terrifying, man. I don't know.
It is a bit terrifying. But yeah, I think we can close the chapter on the LeBron remixes.
These are pretty good. By the way,
These are pretty good.
If I play this one again, I just want to see the fashion.
Oh, from the beginning.
Yeah. No, because early Braun was like, this is like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is like, yeah, like
This is a very specific era.
yeah. Look, come on, LeBron was dressing like
That fedora is crazy. Also, like the classic like V-neck sweater with the collar out, the vest with the tie. For those who are listening, this music video has just like a whole series of old photo shoots with like a GQ like LeBron. Oh my gosh, that cap with the plaid.
oh my god.
Who's getting into his J. Crew?
By the way, because you know how like styles are cyclical and stuff, like people
yeah.
like are gonna start dressing vintage or whatever. You know, like people are bringing back like '90s styles, early 2000s styles. The undeniable worst style was like 2010 to like 2014. I feel like no one's ever gonna bring back that version of style.
Right.
Yeah. Also, shout out to this person who said he dressed like Neo. Yeah,
He dressed like it. It's a little bit.
Neo would definitely put on this fit for sure, and then
without
sing Miss
question,
Independent.
especially once you have a cap involved. Without question.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, on to.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
You're all good. Okay, on to our fourth item here. Per Shams Charania, the New Orleans Pelicans have shelved Zion Williamson and CJ McCollum for the season. And per ESPN's Bobby Marks, this now marks the fourth time in 6 years that Zion Williamson has played 30 games or less.
Damn.
And I only bring this up just because there were some conversations here and there. We know Alex notoriously is actually very pro trying to bring Zion to the team by any means. And it is a tough one because also in 30 games, he averaged 24, 7, and 5, which are very good numbers. And also for the 2 seasons that he actually did play, like last year, he did play 70 games.
Yeah.
So
Pels were good last year.
Pels were good last year. And when I know it's like such a tough thing just because he obviously does have issues in staying on the court. But when Zion is playing well, like how good is he in the league to you?
This feels like this almost feels like Joel at the start of his career. Now I think with Embiid, like he really did figure it out for a while, and he was able to like stay healthy for like a 5-year period. This year is probably the end of that, where his body broke down again. But he was like, he had like unfortunate injuries, like Pascal broke his face that one year, or last year he had Bell's palsy, and like he has like sometimes he like hurts his knee or something, but like for the most part, Joel's been like available and healthy and dominant. Like
it's only starting to catch up like really right now.
Yeah. I feel like the difference here with Zion is that like Joel brought this like defensive floor to the game where it's like not only is he going to be an MVP level player and obviously winner on the offensive end, but defensively he's going to give you that crazy presence. Zion kind of just gives you the offense of that, but no defense. And so even when he does play, the floor isn't that high, which is weird to say. You know what I mean? Like he can't just like lift the whole team by him being good, but it just makes me
like
sad,
offensively,
man.
it feels like he's like a game-changing talent.
I still haven't seen people who can really stay in front of Zion.
Right.
Like, weirdly enough, LeBron. Like, LeBron is probably the one guy that I really saw, like, use, like, take charges, slap the ball out of his hands, basically just outthink Zion.
Right.
But, like, generally speaking, like, Zion's unstoppable when he plays. But it just makes me so sad because I think I want to cover the game when Duke was here in Toronto. They played 2 games against Ryerson at that time, TMU now. And it was supposed to be RJ's homecoming because like that Duke class was like the previously like super class. Like right now, obviously they got Cooper and Malawak and Con Knipple and Tyrese Proctor. They're dominating, right? But like the previous super class was even more highly touted than this. It was Zion, it was RJ. It was Cam Reddish, who at that time was like, one of the top prospects in the country. They had Trey Jones as well, who's player in the league too. And it was supposed to be RJ's homecoming, and it was in Mississauga. But like, it was like eye-opening seeing Zion in person. Like, it was genuinely like freakish, man.
Yeah,
like yeah. And it's like so sad that he just can't actually be on the court anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's one of those things where I think a lot of us still remember the high school mixtapes of Zion and just, like, what a dominant player. But, like, obviously that's high school. That is one thing. But exactly to your point, I got a chance to go to 2019 All-Star in Charlotte. And instead of staying around for the dunk contest, we drove out to Duke to watch Zion and RJ live at Cameron Indoor.
Oh, that's sick.
It was insane. And we got to be very sideline, pre-game report. And just watching Zion in the dunk line, just watching him stand around and move around. Like, we were in scrum afterward, like in the locker room, so we're just standing in front of him. Like, that is a large human being. Like, one that just doesn't even make sense as a human being. Like, that size shouldn't be able to get that high off the ground, shouldn't be that strong, that agile, like all of it put together. The problem is, like, everyone, and some people are saying in the chat, it is availability. But it's one of those things, too, where, when you see that level of talent, like, would you try to find the right deal to make a move for Zion?
I don't even know what you can really do. I mean, like, I would, sure, I would take an upside swing because I feel like not a lot of teams will take an upside swing, but you got to know that there's, like, at least a 50-50 chance it just does not pan out. And it probably costs your job, honestly.
Fair. Yeah, because, like, what you end up giving up. Like, I guess, like
any GM trading for Zion would have to have like crazy amount of job security.
Sure.
Like Masai could do it, for example, but like,
Right. All right. Well, I mean, that is about as much NBA as I can cover at that point, but we do still have 2 packs to go through.
All right. What we got for the final 2?
So first off, I got a chance to watch some of the NCAA women's yesterday. I was out with Chelsea late. We watched at Brockton Haunt.
Nice.
And we got to watch UConn play USC. And I was introduced to one player, Asian representation, Caitlin Chen.
Oh, hell yeah.
And,
that's the CC I recognize. That's the Caitlin C I recognize in women's basketball for sure.
There you go. And I'm going to share this clip over here from the game.
Uh-huh.
This is close to the end of the game. It's a key bucket. Caitlin gets the ball, comes around, and one. This basically seals it. 2 minutes left in the game. I think she does miss the free throw, but I wanted to note the proud parents on the side there.
Wow.
And I couldn't help but think about the moment because
that's so sweet.
It's so sweet, but it's also one of those things too. Now, this is Caitlin's only year at UConn. Mm-hmm. She actually originally had played 3 years for Princeton.
Okay.
And graduated with a degree in medical anthropology.
Of course. This is Jeremy Lin again.
But because as a graduate participants are not able to participate in Ivy League schools, she had to enter the transfer portal, and that's how she ended up at UConn, basically replacing Nika Mule, who's now in the WNBA.
Right.
Also, her career highlights while she was at Princeton: Ivy League Player of the Year 2023, 2-time first team All Ivy League, 3-time Ivy League tournament most outstanding player. Mm-hmm. So combining all this, she's also en route to potentially winning an NCAA championship with UConn this year. So she's getting the best of the basketball world and part of the Ivy League. Is she the perfect Asian kid?
This is my issue. It's somehow, I guess, okay, I support all Asians, and I love this for her. This is great. It's only triggering because as an Asian kid, especially one that grew up here in Canada, it was like...
Also, you have Asian relatives from California because Caitlin also grew up in California as well.
Oh,
so
yeah. No doubt. This is probably one of those kids that grew up in like Cupertino or whatever.
There you go.
And you just know that there's another more perfect Asian kid that you got compared to your whole entire life. Sometimes it's in your own family, which is crazy.
Right,
it could be like your older sibling or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's like, why are you more like them? Why don't like the proficiency kid, future doctor in waiting, is volunteers at all these clubs and all that kind of stuff. I'm actually thinking of someone very specific. Shout out to Jessica, one of my good friends. But my point is like it does become triggering only because I'm like, no, why am I reflexively now feeling insecure about my own status? But yeah, can you relate? You know what I'm talking about.
I definitely know what you're talking about. But this is the thing that's like really funny about it because obviously this is a different life that we live in 2025.
Yeah.
But the idea that you would be in an Ivy League school, and obviously like the circumstances actually required, like she graduated and required her to go to a different school to be able to still be eligible to play. But the idea that you would not be at your Ivy League school to pursue basketball seems like such like an anti-Asian thing to do. So there was just something very funny to me, even though obviously this isn't quite the story, to see such proud parents and such a delightful, loving, supportive Asian family for this basketball dream.
Oh, I mean, if you're not going to support her because she's graduated in 3 years and also is going to be potentially winning the NCAA tournament after making a tough bucket with an and one, like, when are you going to support your kid?
When are you going to support your kid? Well, that's the other thing, because like,
not giving the parents credit for this one.
No,
Come
like,
on, man.
Okay, well, like,
I'd support you if you made that bucket go into your left.
Thank you. Here's the thing that I'm actually curious about. So let's just say you're the person who's making the bucket, and it cuts to your parents in the crowd. What do you expect to see as like the reaction? Do you see them going like wild and like really excited, or do you see them being like more stoic?
Oh, here's the thing. My parents are like, they're not that stoic. Like they've all been pretty supportive and loving. I think it's just like they unintentionally have been like, why weren't you like this guy or like this person?
Fair,
you know what I mean?
fair.
But like it always came from a place of love. So I've only ever really played sports in front of my family once, because my parents like just didn't have the funds, I guess, or like weren't aware enough of what programs are out there. So only once did I actually even get put in a soccer league, which was the sport I played the most growing up. And I remember my dad came with me because I was like probably 13 or 14. I was in net. We actually lost that game 1-0, but I swear I made like 20 saves. And he was just so proud of me, and I was beautiful. Like, this is why I'm gonna love sports forever. You know, for just really this nice. 1-0 loss as a goalkeeper. So yeah, I feel like that. I don't know, man. I mean, you played a lot more sports growing up, didn't you?
Yeah, I did play sports growing up. Like I played
like you went to
a little
St.
bit of
Mike's.
soccer.
You have to play sports there, don't you?
No, you could be one of the few students that neglected sports. I've had teachers who are like, you should really join one of the teams. And I was like, I'm just going to go join my friends at Yorkdale. So I was definitely one of the people who were just more like, I'll do whatever I feel like doing and hang out with my friends. I didn't need to excel in that front. But no, my dad's definitely been very supportive. And definitely when I was a kid, and then even now, like, because we talk hoop all the time, and you and I play basketball, so I'll definitely let him know. Like, he just continually gives me pointers. There's actually a really nice.
That's really nice. Because your dad.
There's
played,
like a
right?
really. My dad played. And like but he hit a milestone not this year, but the last year, where he turned 90, which is like really crazy. And I couldn't think of like what was a thing to do with him, but he's always been a person who. Just like really just valued quality time. And so I just brought him to the local park that like I used to grow up on, and we just like shot baskets together.
Oh, that's
and then
so
I just
sweet,
like
man.
stayed there while he was just like giving me pointers, and like he ran me through a drill. It was like a really sweet moment. So I think like that's really nice. But no, it's very funny because like while I think about it stereotypically, we probably would have similar supportive parents like Caitlin Chen's.
No, I mean, look, our parents have done an incredible job. Incredible.
They're
job.
fantastic.
You know, like my mom and dad are the two people I love the most in this world, along with my brother.
Likewise.
You know what I mean? So it's like that is like goes without saying. I think honestly, this is crazy as an immigrant, but I had it as an early thought in my mind of like, why did my parents leave China? Was it just for me? And does that mean I have to make good off every opportunity I get now when I come here to like validate their decision to uproot their entire lives and probably get into a worse situation? And I'm like, holy, like I've like held on to that since I was like 8 years old.
Yeah. No, I think that's one that a lot of us kids face when we have parents who emigrated here is like what we owe them for making that move.
Yeah. I feel like eternally like I owe them. I mean, it's taken a lot of therapy to even like recognize and vocalize this thought.
Sure. Yeah. But that could be its own. That could be another 30 minutes on the pod.
Shouts to this person. Little do we know, her parents had only a triple double after the game. They're like, Wilt once had 50 points in a season.
Oh my gosh.
Wilt once had 100. Where's
that
your
actually
100?
is something I wish we were able to do, where as Asian parents, we just pulled up other stats, like with a basketball reference that just been like, oh, only a double, one assist short of a triple. Like that would be the classic version. Okay, well, on that note, here we go.
Jerome's story reminds me of the animated dumpling short film.
Sure, let's do that.
Yeah, you're just a little bowed to me, Jerome. Just kidding.
It's good. It's all good. All right. Well, final one here. On the same note of UConn, and like shout out Caitlin Chen, but also shout out Paige Beckers, AZ Fudd, and Sarah Strong. Holy shit, Sarah Strong.
Great team.
But on Betway, they are the favorites to win the women's NCAA championship at 1.71. To remind people, the Final Four right now is actually so it is UConn at the top, then South Carolina, UCLA, and Texas. South Carolina is the defending champion, coached by Don Staley. Interestingly, the other three teams that are in there are the only three teams that have beat South Carolina this year. So if there was ever a harder way for them to like get to the championship, it is this right here. But I know you haven't gotten a chance to watch a lot of it, but I think you're very familiar with it. How do you like UConn's chances of winning this?
I actually was a little surprised to see UConn was not a number one seed, because all the other ones were number one, like UCLA, South Carolina, Texas are all number one seeds. That obviously speaks to USC and like the talent that they have. It's really sad that
Alex is here, by the way.
It's really sad that Juju got injured.
That was a tough part of watching last night. Is just
that would have been an incredible matchup.
It would have been incredible. Yeah,
Juju versus Paige for like, I guess not even the future, because I feel like the future at the WNBA is actually already in the league right now with Caitlin. But like that could have been like, I guess this year's version of like Caitlin versus Angel. You know what I mean? Like that would have been an incredible matchup.
And it would be one that would be very interesting because they are closer in position, that it actually be like a matchup.
Right.
More
You're not
so
just
than
comparing
Angel
a
and
guard to
Caitlin
like
were.
a big.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, look, UConn, they're favored over UCLA, and they've been playing great team basketball. They're 18-0 on the season. They have not lost yet, obviously, in the tournament. They have. I mean, Paige has been going crazy too, man. So super fun player to root for. Obviously, this is going to be her last year before she goes pro. So
if you get a chance to watch any of them, I suggest checking out UConn. It would be really great to see Paige win the whole thing, especially for a lot of people who, like I was talking with Chelsea. Like I mentioned, I watched it with Chelsea last night, and she said in a little bit of a cheeky, petty way, it would be fun to see Paige come out with the championship in a way that Caitlin didn't.
I mean, it's not entirely fair, man.
It's not fair whatsoever.
UConn chips are like basically when KD won the chip with the Warriors. You know what I mean? Like you should win the title.
They should win. But
shout out to UConn. But like, I know obviously South Carolina has become really good recently too. But like, come on, man. That's not totally fair. Like what Caitlin was doing with Iowa is just not comparable, man.
No.
The talent is not comparable. Yeah.
So UConn is the favorite. They are 1.71. If you like to bet, make sure you scan the QR code. And also, even though he's here in the chat, make sure you check out Alex's Betway feed.
Make sure you check out Alex's Betway feed. Check out his. What's he doing now? Did he post on Instagram? I feel like I didn't even see many IG posts. Let's see. Let's watch Alex's Instagram stories together. That's at Stephen LeBron.
At Stephen LeBron. Also at Stephen LeBron on Letterboxd.
Wow, no stories, bro. How are you on a trip and you don't post any stories, man?
I'm happy for him. He's doing his own thing, you know. Like let him disconnect.
No stories from the Pierre Trudeau International Airport.
Oh boy.
What is going on, man?
Yo, I don't have a mic. Can you hear me?
We could hear you great, man. You sound awesome. Hi, Alex.
Yo,
how
why
are
is
you?
my face so big, man? Yo, I gotta chill.
Yo, relax, man. We're the same size face right now.
Yo,
welcome,
up,
Alex. How are you doing out there?
Yo, I miss you guys, man.
We miss you too.
I didn't know until I didn't do the post game show that I actually liked the post game show.
Yo, you always complain about it, but you know.
Yo, great six pack from Jerome, man. That was 5
thanks,
stars.
Man. It's really hard to live up to the legend.
No,
you know?
man. Production value, everything. I usually just pull 6 tweets I see off my For You page.
Oh no, sometimes you get me to make videos for you.
we know.
That's it, bro.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah. No, but yeah,
What are you
hang
doing
around.
over there,
Yeah,
man?
do your thing.
Yo, I went to
Here.
a PWHL game tonight. It was
How
sick,
was
bro.
it?
Oh yeah, sick.
Yo, great crowd, man. I bought these tickets like for $50, and I was right behind the penalty box.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's
No,
really
the
cool.
crowds.
It's a great
Who are they
crowds
playing against?
The New York Sirens.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it was Pride Night.
Yeah, that's why
Oh,
you
that's
won.
nice.
Yeah. Support. No, it was
Are
great,
you
man.
looking to get any hockey jerseys?
No, the jerseys were like $275. So.
They're pretty.
What?
Yeah.
Yo, what? They're like, do you support women's sports or not? Okay,
Yeah.
No, they're like authentic. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
nice though.
they better be
Yeah, really
handmade. They better be
Oh.
1-on-1s if they're $275, man.
the Montreal-
Yeah, I got like
Beat-
the
beat
OGs
Poir, bro.
last year because I don't know if you remember last year they didn't have the names yet, so everyone was just like their city name on there. So I just got like the OG Toronto PWHL, which I thought was like really fun to have.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right. Well, Alex, do you want to hang around, or is that what you all you want to do? You're just gonna listen in the background.
No, I
What
just
are you
wanted to say hi
saying,
to you
bro?
guys. Nothing, man.
it's good to see your
I'm done
face,
for the night,
man.
Okay, that's it. All right. Exciting trip, man. I hope you enjoy the next 6 days.
Yeah, see you guys later.
I've sent like
All right,
6
we'll
work emails to your account. Don't check them.
All right. We'll see you, Alex.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've already changed the board, but let's get to some questions, buddy.
It is time now for the Tangerine Fan Inbox. We want to let you know that Tangerine is the official bank of the Toronto Raptors, an official partner of WNBA Canada and NBA Canada. And of course, they're not just fans of basketball, they're fans of basketball. Actually, I'm going to cut this off because in the next live reaction podcast, we will be handing out tickets. We have secured 3 pairs of tickets to Raptor games to hand out to our listeners. It will be for the last game at home of the Raptors season, and we'll be handing out those tickets on the next 2 episodes of the live reaction podcast. So make sure you stay tuned for more information on how you can win tickets. But Tangerine is actually looking to hook a lot of fans up. There's a lot of tickets up for grabs, and
There's
when
a lot
these
available.
official details come out, we'll be more than happy to share those with you. But especially if you're doing, well, if you're free this weekend, just keep that in mind because Tangerine is putting on a really, really big event later this week. But I don't want to scoop our own sponsor. You know what I mean? Feel like we got to let our sponsor
Wong.
do it. But we do have some tickets, and we will hand those out to our audience because, I know we've done it previously as well with Tangerine, but it is always a really fun time to be able to connect actual Raptor fans with the actual game itself. And, hope you guys have a blast on the last day of the season. They always do a fan appreciation day on the last day of the season, too. So there's always extra giveaways and things like that. So, big shout out to Tangerine. Of course, you're listening
Who's
to
going
this.
to do the end of season address?
End of season address. It's got to be Scotty, man. He's the leader
You
of the
think
team.
Scotty? Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
He's got to say a huge
that's fair.
thank you.
I see that.
You know what I mean? I can't. What do you mean? I feel like all of them should be on the court saying it. You know what I mean? But it's weird because it's not the season finale. They play like 2 more games in Texas after that. But it's
Right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Anyway,
on to
it's time now for the
questions.
Tangerine Fan Inbox. What have the streets been saying?
Well, just to get off light, it is April 1st. And what had happened was I already fell for it once myself because I sent it to you. I thought Brandon Ingram was coming back tonight. I was so
you
hopeful.
texted me. You were so excited, man.
I was so hopeful that we'd have something to talk about. Alex is out of town. We'd actually have a game to talk about, something to go there. And on that, like, similar note, do you have any good April Fool's stories? Were you ever a bit of a prankster at all? Any good pranks in general that you ever done?
So, I was more of a mischievous child growing up, but I do remember the moment where I kind of stopped doing it was, that the classic move you would do in class where somebody would be sitting down and then you pull the chair on them.
Sure.
And then they like land on their ass and you
Yeah.
laugh at whatever. So I remember in grade 7 French class, it was in like one of those like portable units. Like when your school gets too big and then like they need extra units.
Yeah,
so
the
they,
extra
there's
units
like
outside.
a portable unit outside.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're learning grade 7 French with Mr. Cis or Monsieur Cis, and obviously we're not paying attention. It's grade 7 French, man,
Right.
and. I forget who, but the kid goes to sit down and I pull the chair and he falls back and he hit the back of his head on the table. And I don't think he was bleeding or anything. I think the kid was fine, but I just
Sure.
felt so bad about it. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna I'm just gonna stop with the pranks. So that's probably the last prank I remember. Like really
That's pretty
pulling.
young. So you never tried like anything in like your university days, anything as an adult to someone?
As a university, so first year in university, I was at McMaster and I roomed with somebody I knew from high school. Like we were friends from high school. Shout out to Alex saying Chairman Lou. Yeah, honestly, I deserve that.
Man.
But I feel like if you cut off my ponytail, you actually have Chairman Mao Zedong's actual hairstyle. If you just shaved off the whole top.
Right.
But first year university, I roomed with somebody I knew from high school. I was friends with high school, and rooming to the next door to us in our dorm were these two like Chinese girls who I think they were like exchange students, or but they just seemed like rather shy and didn't really want to speak much English. But then my roommate Alan was like, Will, can you teach me some like Chinese words to like just like say hi to them, you know what I mean?
Sure,
and not even
sure.
on some like rizzing or whatever. It was just straight up just to be friendly neighbors. And so I taught Alan the word, like some dirty words basically.
Right.
And he thought that it was, I think the premise he was going to say was, I'm Alan and can I have some instant noodles or something? I don't know. That's what he thought he was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did make him say, I want to kiss your ass. So
That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
That's not so bad. But I did step
yeah.
in and rectify and say this is a stupid prank, and I apologize. We also
That's a
never
solid
talked
prank.
the rest of the year, so I apologize to those two girls as well.
Fair enough. That's
Anyway.
a classic prank. Yeah. I like
Someone's Elvis. Oh, Jay. Yeah, you know what?
Riz.
That was
Yeah.
negative Riz, bro. That was negative Riz. I don't know, Jerome. Were you a prankster?
Yeah, I would say I was a bit of a mischievous person. I did something like in an office, like at my first like 9 to 5 job. It was like one of those things where I think like The Office was really popular, so I was just like really like, oh, I'm gonna be like Jim, and I'm gonna make someone like a Dwight in my office.
Okay, yeah.
And I think
that's kinda fun.
what happened was there was a coworker of mine who I was friends with there, but he would do this thing sometimes. Like he listened to music, but he like sing the songs like out loud at points, like Cantonese like pop songs. And
nice.
there were times where I'm just like, dude, can you just like stop singing? So it was like bothering me so much. And what happened was one time when he got away from his computer, because like at that time, like this is not, during the time of like a streaming services, like everything was MP3s. I went in and the song, like one of his favorite songs that he listened to that was in the rotation, I replaced that song with the exact same song, except a couple of minutes in, it was a recording of me in a really deep, like altered voice that went like, Alan.
Wait, did it sound something like
less soulful. It was supposed to be more
okay.
menacing. Yeah, but it took forever for that to work out. Like, and so at a point I thought like he either just caught it and then it didn't, like it just, he removed it or he just changed it back and like nothing happened. And I want to believe it was like days afterward where I forgot I even did it to him. And like the way we sat, like it was like a line of desks. So he sat just like in front of me, but back to me.
Yeah.
And I just happened to catch him just like nodding his head along to his song. And then his head just like stopped. And then
That's
he
actually
turned back
pretty
and
funny,
looked
man.
at me. And I was like, oh, there it is.
That's pretty funny.
Actually, we did do a real messy high school prank. So you know, like in high school, in the
Jerome messing with someone's Napster.
it is crazy work. So you know, like when you're like at any like high school or university, they would have a lot of like blocks up so you couldn't just like go to any site because they wanted you to focus on just like going to academic sites, things like that. Sure. And like, so like these internet blocking or like computer blocking things, like it was really easy to get around because all you had to do is restart the computer and just stop the application from starting. So you just like control delete like crazy until like it didn't.
Classic Chinese person evading a firewall. Keep going.
Exactly. It's pure evading a firewall. So
Super Asian pod today.
During one of our high school spares, I let some classmates know like, oh yeah, it's really easy to do it. So like, cause everyone wanted to play like games and stuff like that and it was great.
Sure.
And I was like, yeah, at that point, like you literally can just go on like any site. And then like
This is
they thought about it
dangerous,
for a sec. And so what
Oh,
we
no.
decided we were going to do is like in the line of computers, we'd occupy every computer except one. And the computer that we like left open for people to come to, we turned off all the firewalls and we set the home page of the browser to a pornography site.
Oh yeah. See,
And
this
during
is
those
exactly
days-
where this is going. Yeah, for sure.
And during those days, like on an adult site, there would be like a million pop-ups that you couldn't control. Like it was just like one after another.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what we would just
I
do-
I was alive during that dial-up era.
You were alive during the dial-up era. So what we would do is we occupy the seats and we just wait for a student every time over to like come, open, freak out, have the teacher come and be like, "What are you doing there?" And then kick them out over and over again. And it just happened like 3 or 4 times and got a good kick out of it. And we thought this is like the greatest prank. It could not get any better.
That's
but
amazing.
what had happened was the teacher needed to check their email. And there's only one available computer at that time.
Oh no.
So, but this is the thing. The teacher doesn't know what happened. He just assumed every student he's kicked out went onto their computer to open an adult site.
Right.
So he sits down. His name was Mr. Miller. Actually, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the Much Music VJ Leah Miller?
No. No, I wasn't that much into much music, but he was a
all
VJ?
right. No. Well, this guy was her brother.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. So Mr. Miller, just like a very like kind of pale looking dude, kind of a round face, like split part, blonde hair. Sat
Wow, so
down,
descriptive.
opened a browser. We needed to for the what happened. So sits down, opens the browser. We are just like looking forward. We're not even like trying to pretend like we know what's about to happen. All you hear is a lot of like click, 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 click. Close all the windows.
Yo, it becomes a game of like how quickly can you close a tab
How
before it
quickly
pops
you
back
close
up?
all the windows.
That's so
He
funny.
closes everything. He's so embarrassed and he doesn't know what's happening. He just gets up. We can see he's shock red because he's so embarrassed. And just leaves the room, and we're just left alone for the rest of the period. So that was that prank, and that's what happened from it.
Oh man, I know the cookies look crazy on that computer.
But yeah, okay. So that covers April Fools.
Wait, by the way, we have Alex Wong has made a contribution here in the chat,
Okay.
and he said, "I once accidentally printed out a 556-page Final Fantasy walkthrough guide in high school. It went to the principal's printer." This guy's such a first of all, I didn't know you played video games like that. I actually didn't know you played Final Fantasy. I didn't know you were an FF player. Let us know which Final Fantasy it was, on what platform, on what console. I'm guessing Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation 2 or something. And also printing out a back then walkthroughs were huge, man. You don't understand, man. Game facts back in the day, woo.
Just to answer the question, Leah Miller is married to the City and Color guy. Yes,
Oh,
lead
okay.
singer. That yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to a basketball question. Kind of.
Let's do it.
In the theme of mischievousness, Dylan Brooks versus Isaiah Stewart. Who do you got?
Oh man. Both players in the news recently. Am I in the news?
Yeah.
I mean in the algorithm. Isaiah
In the
Stewart
algorithm
for
on the
fighting
timeline.
and
Yep.
getting suspended. Dylan Brooks for quite frankly giving LeBron a couple back shots and playing some good
Yeah.
defense though. Legal defense,
Yeah.
pretty good defense.
He
Forced
was
a turnover
daggering him
too
in
on
the
that
post.
play. It certainly was something, but oh man. I don't think there's anybody I would pick over Isaiah Stewart in a fight right now in the NBA.
At this point,
Like, is he
that's
like
the
not
thing.
the number one seed? Like, he's got to be like he's the Duke Blue Devils of
He's-
fighting in the NCAA tournament here.
Yeah, like he's the one though that will we just can't figure out what his limit is.
That's the thing.
Like we
He
do not
won't
know
stop.
where
Like,
he'll stop. I think Dylan
He
Brooks
went after
actually
LeBron.
would stop. Yeah, and bloodied. It was crazy. Yeah. All right. So Isaiah Stewart easily.
Yeah, but I mean, shouts to Dylan Brooks. Has Dylan Brooks actually been in like big real fights? I feel like he gets into scraps. People like get like
He's an
aggravated by
instigator,
him.
but I don't know that he actually fights.
Right, like he got recently ejected, but like
Sure.
I mean, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, shouts to Dylan Brooks though. I like it was really nice getting to know the personal side of Dylan Brooks a little bit. If you watch the Netflix documentary Court of Gold,
He's great in
there's
it.
some behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
just like taking his family out to dinner. He's like super sweet of a person.
Yeah.
Also, shouts to Dylan Brooks. We once saw him at the airport taking a red eye flight or something. Remember we were going to
Yeah.
like where were we going? Atlanta? We were like
Was it
super
an
early in
Atlanta
the
trip?
morning.
Okay.
It was like we got on like a 7 a.m. flight and like we saw Dylan Brooks walk behind us.
I
Or maybe
do
no, I
remember
did.
Dylan
I
Brooks.
saw
I
him.
think
I
you
walk
saw
behind
him.
me.
Yeah.
And I pointed it
Yeah.
out to you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Shouts to Dylan Brooks. Going
Shouts to
through
Dylan
Pearson like
Brooks.
the rest of us.
Also, just to be clear, for all the daggering, very good defense.
Oh, again,
Yeah.
he caused LeBron to turn the ball over. Like,
There you
what
go.
else do you want, man?
Yeah, exactly.
We could have done that in the LeBronto days, man.
Exactly. Speaking about defense,
Yep.
question: how much of this current defense do you think will carry over next season, especially with everybody potentially back and playing? Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Chuck. I think the big hope is that it will continue over to next season. I don't think it's realistic for the Raptors to be like, I think they're number 2 in defense since January. I don't think that's realistic over the course of a whole season. The Raptors, quite frankly, just don't have the defensive personnel to pull off something to that scale for the whole year. But I would love to see the Raptors be somewhere close to the top 10 defensively next season and when they want to be competitive. I think that you have a pretty good defensive back line between Jakob Poeltl and Scottie Barnes. I think Jakob positionally is really sound, contests a lot of shots. And then I think Scotty has been really devoted on the defensive end, whether that's guarding on ball or rotating at the basket. I think the intensity, he brings a lot of that intensity and keeps it really high. The question marks for me are like, can IQ get a little bit better defensively? I actually think IQ's defense has been pretty good recently too. I feel like he gets seen as like a negative defender, but I wouldn't say he's like an overly positive defender, but I think he's been closer to neutral. RJ, I think, is the same kind of deal. He's been closer to neutral in the stretch. And then I think you get pretty good defensive intensity from the rookie guards. Both Jamal Shead and Jacoby Walter have done a great job pressuring the ball. So I think if you add one more shot blocker to this group, especially for the second unit, that would really help solidify things. Yeah, I mean, and then Ingram on top of all of that, who maybe when he's really engaged can be like a slight positive for you as well. He certainly is very long. Yeah, I don't think the Raptors will be good next year if they can't maintain this defensive intensity. So
Yeah, and it was your point about Darko when we talked about his extension that regardless of whatever has happened over the course of their success of the season, he has really instilled a defensive culture. So it feels like this is the kind of thing to pull out of the season that should actually persist to the next one.
yeah, I mean, I know Darko's focus in the first year was putting in a new offense, sharing the ball, being unselfish. That was the theme of the season. And then the theme of this season has been let's play some goddamn defense. And I mean, tonight was not it, but other than that, they've been playing pretty good defense the last couple of months. So that's the one thing you can't take away from them.
All right. We'll give some Scotty additional considerations. It's a little bit of what you've been talking about already, but Scotty has the worst effective field goal percentage of any player scoring 15-plus points per game this season. Does adding BI fix this? Can he get back to being the bruising, hustle player that won Rookie of the Year and was an all-star as a number 2 option?
Wait, is that actually true? He's got the worst effective field goal percentage for any player
I
scoring
don't
15
have
plus?
that in front of me as a confirmation.
Hold on.
Yeah.
There's one way to prove this, and it's by going to Kyle Kuzma's basketball reference page.
Fair enough.
Kyle Kuzma is averaging 14.6 points on the season. Oh, that's not fair. Oh,
there you go.
wow. 14.9 on the season. But I mean, still, that's not something you want to be in the same conversation with.
Sure. Scottie Barnes has an effective field goal percentage right now of 48% at 19 points per game.
Yeah. I think the one thing that will give you a lot of confidence is if he was able to play more effectively off the ball. This year, we've given him more on-ball reps than any other season previously. And then you've seen the limitations of his on-ball creation. The hope is that once someone else can take on some of those on-ball reps, I think also when you put a better offensive player or in terms of a better scorer out there, they take on a better defender. So you just get sort of like the downstream effects of getting an easier defender, similar to, I guess, when he was playing with Siakam. But I think that's the hope, right? And I think that, like, realistically, something like finishing, especially for Scotty, who is hitting his athletic prime, it should not be something that's declining. It's not like he's had a serious injury. It's not like he's getting old. Like he's shaped like a Greek god. So I do feel like his finishing will sort of rebound. I think right now the finishing looks pretty poor, which is surprising to me. But at the same time, he is also breaking down set defenses a lot of the time. I think the part that's concerning is probably like he doesn't get on the offensive glass nearly as much as I remember in his rookie year. It felt like he was always on the glass. And I think that's natural. Like if you make him a primary guy, like no primary guy's like killing the offensive glass unless you're like Jokic or like you're like a center basically. And obviously
it feels like we also saw those kind of shifts when Pascal became more of a primary scorer.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like once someone else takes all the pressure off, like I feel like Scotty knows when to cut, knows how to finish. This year, obviously, the numbers are a little bit down, but for me, the only question mark is just like, can you get the catch and shoot three down to like? I mean, there's no reason why it can't be like even 35%. Like 35 is like the bare minimum. I feel like that it needs to be at. You know what I mean?
And it seems like from everything we've seen, like the mechanics are there. He clearly is capable of doing it. We just don't know what it is that is not letting it happen right now.
It's been pretty tough. Also, we got to cut out the pull up threes, man. Like that's just not a thing.
I'm pretty sure that was once a Axe freshest play of the game.
Shouts to Axe.
Come
back to us, Axe.
All right. Well, final question here, which will actually kind of just lead us to closing out the show. What time is the live tomorrow? Asks Coco.
Well, tomorrow we will be taking a look at some of the top prospects that the Raptors could potentially be landing with their coveted first overall pick that they are, they tried to tank for it, but, ultimately it's probably going to be. By the way, I showed you the numbers earlier today, and you were like, wait, their biggest chance of getting any pick is actually 8th?
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. The Raptors have...
you showed me those numbers in the craziest way possible.
Hold on, let me show you this horrible graph that I have drawn.
What is this, man?
The worst graph of all time. So yeah, as you can see on this terrible graph that I've made for my grade 6 project, that the Raptors actually have a 34% chance at the 8th overall pick.
If you say so, based on this.
This is the most confusing way to present.
You actually showed me this graphic. We did a pre-production meeting, and you asked, "Hey Jerome, do you think this is an effective way to show this?" And I asked you,
worst pie graph of all time.
Well, I asked you, I'm like, why a pie graph?
I mean, it all adds up to 100. Yeah, this is obviously a lot easier to look at. So
right, which we'll be showing tomorrow.
Unbelievable, man.
Unbelievable.
Stay off the Google Sheets, man. That's disgusting.
But yes, we're going to be talking about this tomorrow.
We will be looking at this tomorrow, and we'll be going live at noon Eastern, so 12 p.m. And
we'll put out a link in the morning. Come hang out with us, and Will's going to break down all the prospects and the ones that we can hopefully expect to be able to actually draft where we're sitting right now.
In our budget range. Like, I'm not going to be like, here's Cooper Flag, and the Raptors could, obviously there's a chance. The Raptors have like a 7% chance roughly of getting the first overall pick, but like the guys I want to take a look at tomorrow, Kama Malawak, Derek Queen, Trey Johnson, VJ Edgecombe, Kasparis Yakichonis, Kon Knipple, who I know is Alex's favorite player just based on the last name alone, Yegor Demon, and Will Riley. We'll give a little bit of love to those last 3 names, but just look at some of those guys in that range because, like I said, the Raptors are probably going to be in that 7 to 8 range. So,
Per the pie graph.
Refer to the pie graph, all right? Is it not clear?
There are so many here, just for the sake of this is bad. Will graphs in Microsoft Paint. Alex asks, why are the lines so long? Holy Windows 95, Batman. What is that pie chart? 3D pie chart? I'm not eating this pie.
Oh my god.
Just straight up my eyes. All right. All right. Well, that does it for the questions. Let's close it out with a couple of awards.
Your 3 stars from tonight's performance. I'll give Jacoby the first star, 17 points. A shot of 5 for 5 for 3. Just a nice game. I thought defensively he actually gave some good effort. Ultimately the team defense broke down a lot because they gave up 137 to Chicago, but Jacoby played well. Second star get to IQ. I liked his process tonight. 17 points in 24 minutes, 7 of 14 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. Pretty efficient night, 9 assists, 1 turnover. So just in general, didn't really make a lot of mistakes. I thought defensively he actually did okay as well. And then your third star, kind of reaching here, but I'm going to give it to Orlando Robinson for knocking down these threes. I love the fact that it's like, whether he's showcasing himself for the rest of this season or next season or maybe even for a different team beyond the Raptors, it's like he's like, I'm gonna take 7 threes, man. You're gonna leave me open out here, I'm gonna take it. And as somebody who also would take 7 threes against 4 twos, I personally support the style of play Orlando Robinson's out there with. So 13 points for Orlando. Your Gerald Henderson Award winner, that's going to go to Talen Horton-Tucker, once untouchable in trade conversations for Kyle Lowry. The Raptors try to get him from the Lakers. The Lakers decided not to make that move. But THT, somehow like the oldest looking 24-year-old in the league, probably. Because I think he entered the league really young, but I think it's also just like the hairline combination or something like that. But in any case, he played really well tonight. So big shouts to Talen Horton-Tucker. And he had 27 points off the bench for the Chicago Bulls and was really, really hurting the Raps. But honestly, a lot of players on the Bulls were hurting the Raps tonight. So that does it for the pod. Thanks everyone for listening. Big shouts to Jerome for producing this episode. Little do people know, Jerome actually left our Tuesday run early just to get back to this episode. He texted me. He's like, "What? This game's already at halftime?" Yeah, the Raptors were already at halftime before the run even started. It typically starts from 9:30 to 11. So big sacrifices from Jerome from the ball run. But you know what? It'll be fun when we do this again in 2 days. But of course, in between, we'll look at some of the draft picks. So thanks everyone for listening. Big shouts to all our sponsors, Tangerine, Betway, and this has been the Hello and Welcome Podcast, and we will catch you tomorrow at noon when we take a look at 5 potential prospects who would fit the Raptors.